Welcome, everybody, back to the Game Ball podcast. I am your host, Mark, and tonight we are joined by just Tom. Jen is off because it's a very special evening when we record this podcast, and unfortunately, the recording fell on it. She just had to go and get married at one point 6 or 7 years ago. So that would be just me and Tom tonight. So, Tom, How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Mark. I cannot complain. It's yet another peek behind the curtain. Yet another Friday.
Yes,
and I'm so happy.
Friday, as the kids say.
That's right. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah. So this is the last episode before the beginning of Extra Life. I'll do the quick spiel up front here, but we'll do a longer one later.
It's really hard to believe that it's coming so soon.
Yeah. So it sneaks up every year, just about. So real quick, I'll just give you the particulars here, and then we'll dive deeper into what's going on, as that is our main topic of the show. So we're doing 12 hours over, we'll say 12 hours question mark, over 2 days. Just because if we go to 13, that's fine. If we're playing something that takes, a little bit longer. But the goal is we'll start at 9 a.m. On November 11th, Eastern Standard Time, which is our all-in-person multiplayer extravaganza. And then the 18th, the next Saturday, will also be 9 to 9. That one could stretch to 15 since it's going to be an all-virtual event. So if I'm in the middle of playing something, or if I decide to do end of it, I'll do part of our Final Fantasy X stream at that point. Maybe we'll stretch a little over the 12, but the goal is to have them be 9 to 9 so that everybody watching, at least in the United States time zones, will be able to stay up for everything, and we won't have Jen needing to play Phasmophobia at 3:30 in the morning.
For 5 hours.
For 5 hours while the rest of us are nodding off. Getting older, having kids, so nice split up of the time here between in-person and virtual as well. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. You can donate at tinyurl.com/GVP, as in Game Vault Pod, Extra Life. Just go there. Goal is 750. We're already about 200 something. Looking forward to seeing you guys all on Saturday for the first night. But Tom,
yes,
what have you been playing?
Let's see. It's not too different from the last time we spoke, but I'll start with Super Mario Wonder. I know you said you were going to get it. I don't know if you got it yet or touched it yet. But man, this is one of the best Mario games I've played in quite a long time. Probably since Super Mario World, honestly. This is probably my favorite Mario experience I've had in quite a long time. 2D Mario experience, I should say.
Yeah, I'm more drawn to the 2Ds anyway, so that's why I was after seeing all the good reviews, I was like, I gotta try this.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that isn't done, in older games, and I like the new power-ups. The levels are interesting; they're not too long. Some have multiple checkpoints, which is nice, especially if it is a longer level, like a castle or something like that. Did you load it up at all?
I have not yet.
Okay. I won't spoil anything then. So
I've seen videos on it, so I've watched streamers.
You've seen what happens immediately when the game starts.
Yes. I've also seen that you should change the flowers' voices to either Italian or German.
There's no Japanese option?
There is, but those are just funnier.
But yeah. So the whole premise is very interesting, and I'm very happy with the way they decided to go with this game, and it's been the game I've been playing the most. It's probably up there for Game of the Year for me already, and I haven't even gotten halfway through it yet. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the atmosphere, the I'm going to say play control. Bring back an old term from gaming magazine days. The play control is excellent. And like I said, I've been using an 8BitDo SN30 Pro controller, so I've had no problems with the D-pad. I highly recommend that if you are playing the game, that you have something like that, or the Super Nintendo NSO controller. Both would be excellent choices for this game, because you really don't need an analog stick at all. So if you have the ability to use a controller like that, I highly recommend.
That's what I've heard. If you, from all the streamers I watch, if you find a game that gets a guy like Jeff Gertzman excited about it for as many games and as long as he's been in the industry, you've done something right. And he seemed very happy with the game from the stream I watched. So
yeah, it's great. I can't complain about much. I mean, yeah, there's nothing I can think of off the top of my head that I can go, yeah, I didn't like that. So
I would like to have seen an elephant Yoshi, but that's just me.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I've mostly been playing. I've been playing some Forza Motorsport as well. Gotten through the first couple of championships in the career mode. I've heard a lot of people don't like the game. I don't know what they're complaining about personally. It's fine for me. I've had no problems with it. I'm enjoying it. It is what it is. I like it. Some people don't. So, let's see what else. Oh, I not restarted, but I loaded up Miles Morales because I was thinking to myself, I really need to get Spider-Man 2 at some point, so I really need to get through Miles Morales, and I loaded it up, and I'm like, man, I have not done anything in this game. I think I was like 10% of the way through the game, so I have a long way to go. But luckily, that's a game you can, once you remember how to do all the moves and stuff, it's a game you can just pop on and do a mission and turn it off. So I'll be probably going back to that one every now and then. And I got my Retro Tank 5X set up.
Ooh.
So I've been messing around with that, trying to see how I want to have it set up for Extra Life, and so I very much simplified my setup by getting rid of, because I had the open source scan converter and the Frame Meister. So I've unhooked both of those, and I'm now just using the Retro Tank 5X. So we should have a somewhat streamlined setup for Extra Life. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So for me, gearing up to finish Starfield. I'm just going to go through the main quests from here on out, just because I just want to see how it ends and all that. And I can always go back to an old save if I want to fuck around with outposts and shit. But there's not enough in terms of content to make me want to drag out it any longer. Leveling up's a little slow sometimes. I think I might have to sleep more to get like the rewards for sleeping, where it's like 1.5 experience or something. But alas, I'm just going to finish off that game because there's a lot of games coming out that I want to play. So Haley Williams and the Misery Business are driving towards the end of their campaign here, but I should finish it like 70 to 80 hours played. So I think I got my money's worth. And the thing I'm really been excited about, and I'm going to keep harping on Tom on this until he does play it, is I have played about 10 hours of Sea of Stars, and it is really good. Like, I really, really like that game. Story's kind of old school throwback, to where it's a little bit, straightforward in terms of its storytelling, not trying to do too much weirdness with it. You can kind of see where things are going. The writing's really good. There's some fourth wall breaking that you're like making jokes about RPG stuff, which I like a lot. Each set of storylines is of segments of the story are really good and realized, and not having every characterization be just very bland. For example, I went in this one town, and without spoiling too much, it's basically the story of the town is that they're all trapped there and they can't leave. So when you arrive there and you tell the guy that you're just visiting and you're going to stop whatever's happening, he's like, "Sure, rooms are in the back." does not believe you at all.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, just sure. So it's really good, like actually keeping the characters in line with what the story is, and not they're like you making your characters welcome and heroes or anything. There's a really good joke about a pirate ship you get. I don't want to spoil that with anybody. And yeah, it's the combat is a nice mix of for at least games I played, a mix of like Paper Mario and your traditional turn-based, like a little bit of Octopath and stuff like that. Where it has, if you do certain attacks at a certain time, you stop them from doing their big attack. But they also had the Super Mario RPG, or even I think Lost Odyssey was doing it as well. Where if you hit the button at a certain time, you can increase your attack power or reduce damage. The timed attacks and defenses, and just overall a really good game. Something you should check out if you're into turn-based and you scream about Final Fantasy 16 and their action-oriented combat. Doing that. Playing NHL 24 until my trial's up. They did a really good job with the crowd noise. That it's just, it gets you all excited and pumped, and you fist pump when you score and stuff like that. And I'm starting to get a lot better at doing, the little moves and stuff to, make things a little more realistic than, video games in the past have been, or video hockey games have been in the past. Not always one-timers and all that stuff. So really loving that. And last but not least, I have already lost sleep to City Skylines 2. Best thing about it is you can immediately put on the infinite money cheat. You don't get any achievements for it, but you can just build things. So I've had fun just, designing the cities I want to design without being forced to do certain things. I'm thinking I started my last city out doing the normal progression where you have to have a certain amount of, you have to get to a certain population before you can do certain things. So it makes city design a little weird when you have infinite money. You gotta wait. You're like, okay, come on, move in, people. I gotta build bigger police stations, or bigger fire stations, or whatever. But it's really good. They've done some fixes, which I'm gonna bring up in the news segment. But it's really good. It's what I want out of it. They've added some quality of life stuff. Like your roads now automatically have water pipes in them. So, you don't have to worry about connecting, water pipes to run it across areas of the map. But you do have to make sure you connect the pipes for the roads to the actual water, facilities where you're getting the water from and where you're sending the waste out. And also I think electric works the same way, where you don't have to run lines, that the roads carry the electric as long as they're touching the power plants.
That's pretty awesome.
So yeah, a lot of quality of life stuff there. Just looking forward to a lot of games coming out. Like I said, I'm probably going to buy Wonder. I am trying to resist buying Alan Wake 2 because I already got too much to play, but apparently that be something I have to play for Game of the Year from everything I've heard. I loved Alan Wake 1. I love all them, Control, all that stuff.
The Remedyverse.
The Remedyverse. Haven't played Quantum Break yet, but just because it's a really intense download, because you're downloading like episodes of a TV show as well in there. So, looking forward to that. And that is about it. So, Tom, if you our first news item, I will let you talk about this a little bit more than me, just because you know about computer stuff and more. But our first thing is that Starfield is adding a patch for native DLSS support for HDR stuff and all. As someone that you've probably been playing it on console, but can you explain to the audience
Sure.
What that means while I go tend to Game Ball Cat.
Yes, I will do my best to explain this. So DLSS is basically an upscaling technique that newer NVIDIA graphics cards use when games are very demanding. So Starfield is one of those games that's kind of being compared to Crisis and melting computers and computers not running well at all while trying to play the game. So the addition of DLSS is a very big deal when it comes to at least NVIDIA graphics cards, because it's an NVIDIA specific technology. So basically what it does is it renders the game at a lower resolution, making it a little easier for the computer to run it, and then it does a digital upscale to the specific output resolution that you want to use. So say if your monitor is a 1440p monitor, it'll render it at like a half of that resolution, then digitally upscale it, and it just makes it gives you a big FPS boost, which is something that everybody wants from Starfield because it's not easy to deal with. A lot of people are very upset about the fact that they needed to upgrade their computer to be able to play Starfield, and this should help everybody. Well, at least anybody who has an NVIDIA graphics card. Those who had AMD, FSR was already supported, which is the same thing. It's just AMD's technology as opposed to NVIDIA's. So, everybody with NVIDIA cards will be rejoicing.
Yeah, and as you probably mentioned, this is one of the biggest requested features from a technical standpoint from people playing the game.
The fact that it didn't have it out of the gate is wild to me. I guess because I know, but so my assumption is that it since they built it for consoles, since they built it for the Xbox, they used AMD hardware, so they didn't implement DLSS right off the bat. Yeah.
So now you would get better looking Starfield going forward, especially if you're playing on PC. But yeah, it's just crazy that you can tell that they still probably needed another year with this game. But I guess, and Microsoft was like, is it like 95% feature ready? Sure, go.
Like I said, it ran and it works with NVIDIA cards, but you needed a 4080 to run it at 1440p, which is not great. Yeah,
that's essentially what I mean. Is they were like, all right, we got these couple of technical things you haven't put in yet. Does the game run? Well, okay, yeah, sure. we can add this stuff in later. I think the second thing that they're clamoring for, which I don't know if they've ever announced it or if it's coming, is just getting like a co-op or multiplayer feature on there. I think co-op more so than like a multiplayer, because I think that's more obtainable for Starfield to like you and your buddy. They already have the crew system in place, so it's an easy implementation there for that. But one video game that is stretching across all types of media is Five Nights at Freddy's. The creator is happy and surprised by the success. And for those of you who don't know, I believe it opened last weekend. Or if it didn't, this is a ridiculous total for week 2. It was number 1 at the box office with $80 million on opening weekend for Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's got to make it pretty close to one of the best. Well, minus Super Mario and Sonic, it's got to be one of the top 5 video game movies of all time.
Yeah, it's got to be
already.
Yeah, and even though she's been out there a while, Taylor Swift's still number 2 at 15.4 million, so it like outpaced everybody by a large margin. And even you could say, well, it's probably the only known thing really, but still 80 million to those rest of the numbers is just very, very impressive, especially since it's on streaming too, like day and date.
Yeah.
So I was expecting this number to be way lower before I looked this up today, and it still looks like it has momentum. According to the on Box Office Mojo, the daily, it looks like it picked up $2 million more today
Wow.
So, and it's crazy. But yeah, so Five Nights at Freddy's, a game that I knew about but didn't know a lot about until Kitty Ashcat, my niece, got really into it. And I was told that I was not allowed to go with her. She was going with her friends.
Oh, you got
Yeah. She does the thing where
you're not cool enough, Uncle Mark.
Yeah. She does the thing now where she puts her hand up like she's comforting me. Like, I'm going with my friends. So yeah, she went to see it.
I was just about to ask you if you had seen it.
I have not. Jen has. She watched it streaming.
Okay.
On Peacock. So I have not watched it yet, but she told me.
Did you get a review from Kitty Ashcat?
Not yet. I was told she went with her friends that knew all the lore, was the last I heard. So
it's amazing how much lore there actually is in in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, so this was the first news story I pulled because I absolutely wanted to see what this number was, and I was completely shocked by it. It also had the biggest 5-day debut on Peacock, on top of the $80 million in movies.
I can't believe it made $80 million while also being streaming. That's wild.
It's also a 9-year-old game, apparently.
Five Nights at Freddy's has been out for a long time.
Yeah, but crazy.
And it's funny. It's also funny to me that it's that old, but kids still like it.
Oh, how long was Chuck E. Cheese around? Would be my counter argument to that.
Yeah, but games are different.
I guess
kids are weird about games.
Kids nowadays play Roblox, Tom. So I don't think graphical quality is really top end for the preteen market.
You would be surprised, Mark. Sit a kid down and have them play the original Mario Brothers, and then tell me that they don't think that graphics matter.
Oh yeah,
it's usually what is this old game? Why?
I think if you tell it it's a Roblox game, they would love it. It's definitely branding.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, this is new Roblox game where this guy runs around and hits question mark blocks.
Well, didn't they recreate Five Nights at Freddy's inside of Roblox?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of knockoffs. My niece got really good at Splatoon 3 because she played the knockoff on Roblox the months leading up to its release.
I still don't understand how they do it. How do you make that?
No idea. But if Roblox is a thing that I officially know I'm old and will never understand.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you, Mark.
Yeah. So not going to going to their next story real fast. In the no shit Thing. Phil Spencer showed up at BlizzCon. Shocked.
What a surprise. Right? Phil Spencer showed up at BlizzCon, and then I'll get to something right after that when you're
so essentially he just shows up, gives a speech about, Blizzard's history, blah blah blah. We now own it, it's a catalyst for live entertainment. Basically just blowing smoke. All the stuff. And Xbox will keep Blizzard, essentially. And he didn't even tease a t-shirt, as this article says here. But yeah, so what was your thing you had?
So this week, all of a sudden, every Xbox that turned on got a huge Call of Duty, not announcement, but it's a advertisement to buy Modern Warfare 3. As soon as you turn it on, it's the first screen. Like, it doesn't even go to your home screen first. It's just that, and it gives you buy now, buy like the ultimate pack or exit. And people are like, what do I do here? What is happening?
Exit. Yeah. So next is going to be Candy Crush. They're going to pop Candy Crush commercial.
You know what they're going to do? They're just going to install Candy Crush on your Xbox.
That'd be what I would do.
And it's going to show up. It'll be on your home screen, and then you'll be sucked in for the rest of your life playing Candy Crush.
Yeah. Speaking of things, real fast before we move on, of things that have basically been on my PlayStation account since day one that I still laugh that people are paying $15 to $20 for. I saw that Resogun was on sale.
Oh, Resogun.
And I'm just like, I'm so glad I picked that up as a free game in 2013.
It's a great game.
Oh, it's an amazing game. I picked up 3 games at launch for my PS4. That NBA 2K14 and actually 4 Black Flag. I forgot I grabbed Black Flag.
Oh yeah, I
for
bought
there.
Black Flag when it came out too.
And then I got FIFA. I think I got FIFA because the Order 1886. No, the Watch Dogs got delayed. It was Watch Dogs. So I got FIFA instead. Like they let me swap it at a GameStop where I pre-ordered the console.
I think what I got with my Xbox.
And then Resogun was the other game I got. And I played Resogun more than for games for the first 3 weeks after launch. And then only Assassin's Creed exceeded it after that. But yeah. It's so funny that game 10 years later is still popping up for sale. And they just haven't made it free. Or made it like $5.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
So Cities Skylines 2 removed. They have like radio advertisements now. I forgot to mention that at the top.
Oh, like GTA does?
In a little bit of a way. It's sort of like supposed to help you, know to do things in the town or city.
Tells you how people are feeling about the town.
Yeah. The weirdest thing, I don't know if it's a bug in my game. Maybe I have to start a new one to see. But it keeps telling me that there's going to be blackouts and brownouts, but yet my power thing is full. Like I'm not running out of power. I'm actually selling power to the other towns around me.
maybe that's why.
Because we're making way too much power. We're going to sell the rest. And then it's like, and I hear things like, oh, there's going to be brownouts tonight. Make sure to do. I'm like, what? Where am I missing a spot in the city that's not on the electric? So anyway, they do that kind of stuff. And sort of complaining about pollution and noise, just, a nice little way to do it instead of having text pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
And they have like radio stations where they play like probably, free music or whatever it's called, royalty free. But anyway, so the commercial was offensive with something called like Spasm Electronics. And the sound effect people complained sounded like someone having a seizure. So they took that off. So a lot of the fixes they made was things that won't really matter to me since I'm using the cheat. But basically fixing balances. Taking out. Maybe this is the bug I was talking about, Tom. They said fix trade resource bug preventing some resources from being consumed.
There you go. That's why you have full power, and they're telling you you're going to have brownouts.
That might be it. But the rest of this is just like making, like, a lot of people like to zoom in and see the individual stuff. So they're improving shadows, and you can see the people now in the town, like walking around. And a lot of times they were just like standing out in front of buildings or just walking into buildings, but not going inside. So they fixed that. And then, just, a lot of performance issues, which is what they did with the original City Skylines. It took about a year or so, if I remember from when I first downloaded that before, you felt, okay, this is good. Or is this solid? But I'm not disappointed in it. A lot of this stuff seems good. I just really want to pull this news story because of that, that they had an offensive in-game commercial that I don't know how it gets past. But I would assume that it probably works a lot better on PC than console. It's probably more stable on console, but I can imagine some of the stuff making it there. Last normal story before we get to the sad things in the industry. Game Pass for November has some really good games coming out for it. They're, at least for me, they're putting the new Football Manager, the soccer one, very popular series, especially in Europe and all that. They're making that free for PC Game Pass.
Oh, nice.
And their Wild Hearts is becoming free if you don't have EA Play, I believe. On there, I don't know if this photo they took for the website is just the EA Play like ad, but I understand if it comes to Game Pass, you'll be able to play it. But I think Wild Hearts might have been just PC exclusive free, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so that's coming. But the fun and most important thing that's coming is that they're doing day one release of the Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, which is all about Kiryu, and is sort of, I guess, like a prequel to the 8th game coming out. So that comes out, or it's already come out. It would have been, it's coming out on the 6th. The colorful strategy RPG hybrid Thirsty Survivors came out yesterday. So the other ones are all out next week, but pretty good lineup. Game Pass, while still has its issues in terms of, like the games with gold side of it, that I think they're probably going to start eliminating, but has gone down in quality. But they still give you some things that can be Game of the Year, type candidates, and you're going to start getting, Activision stuff day one in a few months. So still the best deal in gaming.
Oh, by far. It's not even close.
Yeah. So our final story, and we don't have to dive into this. You've probably all read the stories and seen all the sadness all over Twitter. But once again, we'll start off the story with saying, like we've done to multiple game companies, fuck Bungie.
I don't know that it was Bungie's fault.
But yeah, from the stuff I've heard, they, laid off the employees, and some of the things, I don't know if it's all been substantiated, but some of the things make sense, is that, they were given money to stop layoffs basically in the deal. And what they did was transfer that from, trying to keep the workers they had to keeping the important workers.
Yep.
So, and what important means can depend on your definition. Is it the CEO that's never worked on a game or hasn't worked on, or is important the community manager, So that's really where the fuck Bungie for me comes in. Is this very much felt like they got $1.5 billion or whatever as part of the sale to Sony, and just kind of kept it to the senior high end, employees that don't really, need it.
It's every company. It's just unavoidable.
Yeah, you can still say fuck them though for doing it, but yeah. So at least some of the things they've come out and said, you can make, if this wasn't one of a dozen of these layoffs this year, they could have gotten away with the statements they made, and maybe gotten some people back. But I think people are just pissed off by all the layoffs between media and game development, that, it's one of those things that, at least maybe from my side, falls on deaf ears when they say, well, now we can double back and make the game you guys want, and stuff like that, to try to keep an already dwindling player base, around. But yeah, that was a rough one, because I think it was 100 employees, and a lot of them from, it seemed like a lot of the low totem pole people, got chopped off here, which is funny when they said the ideas that have been coming out lately haven't been working, and that's why the player base went off, but yet the people that have been around making all those decisions stayed.
Yeah, that's typical.
That's just me. But anyway, yeah, it's been a really shitty time. I don't know. I've seen a lot of layoffs, following this industry for a while, but I don't think I've seen it over a 12-month period as bad as it's been this year in 2023.
I think gaming as a whole is just down from the pandemic, and I think everybody kind of ramped up during the pandemic, and then it was not sustainable, and it's all hitting at the same time. Yeah, it just kind of sucks because it's a I don't know if double-edged sword is the right terminology here, but this year, because of the pandemic stuff, a lot of games that would have came out sooner got delayed till now, so we have a ton of really good games coming out this year. Like a bunch of games that would probably be hard to make a top 10 out of. But yet, because of a lot of people overstaffed because of the pandemic, there's a lot of layoffs and people out of work at the same time. So it's a bittersweet is probably the right term for 2023 here. But hopefully no heartless company does it in the next 2 months around the holidays. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the shoe hasn't dropped on Microsoft. Well, Bobby Kotick will be out of work during the holiday, so yay!
We're very much hoping that's the case.
I think they're like forcing him to retire. It's kind of been
Really?
like the wording I've been hearing.
If we're gonna say fuck anybody, fuck that guy.
Okay, yeah, fuck him. Yeah, I love that now he reports to Phil Spencer. That was the best thing I've seen from
He should.
my favorite thing. I was like, oh man, that's so great. Anyway, yeah, so sorry to end on such a downer note for people that may be sensitive to layoff stuff, but Bungie laying off this many employees, and basically I think Destiny 2 was down to half its player base or something. Some wild number like that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I'm one of those players. I haven't touched Destiny 2, and I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I loaded it up. So
yeah,
it's definitely dropped off quite a bit.
Yeah. My final statement on it is to address your thing from earlier. I think it's 85-15 Bungie's fault here. I think the 15 is that when Microsoft bought them, not Microsoft, Jesus, because they buy everyone. When Sony bought them, I think they were looking towards making like a games as service division, and keeping Bungie at the level they were would help. Yeah. But it didn't happen. And games as a service stopped being profitable if you hadn't already established a footing. Which when Sony bought Destiny 2 was already going down. So
they didn't do anything to help it.
Yeah,
I mean, at this point, there is something coming that should bring everybody back, but
who knows?
It got delayed.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. There's only like, not that anybody should ever lose their job. I saw a couple of jobs where I could see the redundancy, like marketing side and all. Like when you get bought by a company like Sony, there's probably a lot of overlapping marketing that you don't need to double up on.
Yeah.
So, but some of the things, like they're trying to get a player base back, but they like laid off like very popular community managers. It's like, what?
Yeah, that kind of stuff is nobody's going to be happy about that.
Yeah, it's just like you're begging to give people back, but then you laid off the people that people like, and it's just like, oh, okay, I don't get it. But then again, I don't run a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah, me either.
But speaking of things that we run that make money, Extra Life, Tom.
They kind of make money.
Well,
they make money for good things, but
yeah. I mean, in the sense that money gets collected by us, we give it back to the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia.
That's correct.
We do. I guess you found out today by sharing a story on Facebook that this is year 8, but it hasn't felt that long.
It hasn't. I can't believe this will be the 8th year. It feels like just yesterday we were sitting on your couch, trying to stay awake and
figuring out that first setup year where a lot of games didn't work because I didn't have a strong enough computer, and I think that's when we first started talking about computer upgrades in terms of that stuff. And we had to. I remember the first year we had to Skype or whatever Dan in from work.
It was. We were definitely learning everything on the fly.
Yeah. I think first year was No Man's Sky year where Anthony almost walked out, and then year 2 was The Quiet Man where Anthony almost walked out.
Oh Quiet Man. How could we forget The Quiet Man?
So the one positive thing we've done is we've stopped playing games at the beginning of Extra Life that make Anthony want to walk out.
We're trying at this point. We're trying to appeal to everybody.
So that's positive. But I think we just transplanted it and we're unfortunately not doing this year. But I think we started off every stream with D&D, which Anthony likes. So that's what kept him around. But I was looking back at those first couple of years once you sent that thing over to the chat. But so we're all getting a little older. Families are growing. So things will be changing. So let's start off with the first night. We're going to be doing live from your basement as usual.
Yep.
And it's going to be very multiplayer focused. I know we have at least 4 to 5 games that are definite. We have the staples, of course, where I'm going to get the Jackbox, which reminds me I have to buy it. The Jackbox Party Pass games. I'm going to buy the 10th one because there's at least 2 or 3 good games on there that I saw. So we can try out the new pack and I can download the old packs. So we have that. And then we have Mario Kart, whether we play 8 or 64. We'll definitely be playing, or even Double Dash or something like that.
Yeah, we got Double Dash. We have every Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So
that will probably
I think the only one we don't have is Wii, but I could be wrong. I have to look.
Yeah. I know Jonathan tried to look up to do like a like they are doing like private servers, like custom tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to work. We can try and figure it out, but I don't. It might be tough. But that was a pretty cool idea. Maybe the virtual one. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll definitely play some kind of Mario Kart. We'll probably play a Mario Party. That like we've done in the past. We'll play a wrestling game. Or 2. We'll play our first-person shooters. Definitely Halo. Maybe Call of Duty. Who knows? I don't know if we'll have time to just jump around. We might just have to stick to the ones that we love. And I'm going to be introducing a new game that just came out. WarioWare Bust a Move, I think it's called. Something. That has a lot of... I watched Giant Bomb stream it today. And it's some of the positions are just hilarious that they make you do for the micro mini games, and it'll be real fun to see some people in our group have to do that. So yeah, I don't know if you what are any maybe games that you've been thinking of for at least the in-person session?
I would. Jen keeps talking about it, and I thought it was a good idea. I feel like we should try to do one of the F-Zero games, whether it be F-Zero X or F-Zero ZX, because I believe they have four-person split screen.
Yeah, anything with 4-person split screen for sure.
I mean, there's a lot of N64 titles that we can do. Also, I would like to do some sort of tournament, whether it be a fighting game tournament or a King of the Ring in wrestling, because I have a bunch of fighting games that we could play. We have Virtua Fighter. I think I have Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So we have some heavy hitters that we could play.
And basically any 16-bit fighting game we might want to pull out.
Any 16-bit fighting game we have access to for sure.
Yeah. So and with the shorter timeline, we'll probably have less, drawn out things between games. So, a lot more cohesive. I feel that, and we'll all be awake and energized. So I'm looking forward to night 1 there. We're trying to decide what to do. I would like to have the wheel. We're trying to decide exactly what to put on the wheel. I think it would be fun to do some kind of gaming handicaps, especially since we're playing a lot of multiplayer games. Like if you donate, you can pick someone to spin the wheel, and it like forces them to, maybe blindfold, maybe play one-handed, or maybe we do special controllers. Just fun stuff like that to fuck someone over in like one of the 4-player split screen.
Make them play inverted, or
Yeah, paddle upside down, just stuff like that I'd like on the wheel. And maybe pop in like some of the fun stuff. But I think that'd be fun to keep that wheel there. And then night 2 will be virtual. And it's going to be split up between me and Tom. I'm probably going to be hosting most of it. I do have a 3-hour window, which I'll get into specifics off air with Tom, when I will not be available on the 18th, which is why I might extend to 15 hours just so I do 12. But yeah, for that, I'm thinking more, games that interest us or might you might be able to play with somebody while they're on Discord as well. This is when, if Jen wants us to play a game of, Phasmophobia or Dead by Daylight or something like that, if she wants to pop in for an hour, now that we do know, and she's announced on her stream that she is with child. So, it allows her to play at her pace in day 2 for that. And then if we wanted to, like if I want to play a little bit of our Final Fantasy X stream that I have, I can do it there. Maybe that's the final 3 hours once everybody's gone to bed in terms of you guys. I can do a couple episodes of that.
Yeah, this will definitely be more single player focused for the second bit.
Yeah, or if it is multiplayer, it's something we can play over the internet.
Yeah, it'll be it'll be something everybody can play from their home as opposed to being in.
Yeah, and we'll have stretch goals as well. Which we'll announce day of, so that we can organically reveal them instead of letting you know up front, and then as soon as we sign on, there's like a $400 donation to make us do a bunch of shit immediately. But yeah. So be sure to tune in to get all that. And once again, we'll be starting this Saturday, November 11th, at 9 a.m. Eastern. I guess it would be standard time at that point.
Yep.
Because we're turning back the clocks this weekend. And then we'll go to 9 is like, I was equating it to like, I've gone to a lot of softball games this year. Equated to like there's a time limit and we're not doing a drop dead as they call it. If we get close to,
we're not just going to close it down at 9.
Yeah,
we're not going to shut it off.
Yeah, if we get close to 9 and we're in the middle of a Jackbox game or we're having a lot of fun playing a racer or fighting game, we'll go until whenever naturally it feels like that game is done. Like it's sort of the start an inning, in using the softball metaphor. But once that inning is over, then it's over, the game.
Yeah.
So if we're playing a game, once we finish whatever we're doing in that game, that's when it'll, we're not going to move on to another game at that point, is essentially the way to think about it. Yeah. And that'll go same for the virtual. But yeah, we're not going to be doing donations to go longer. I know you guys would vote to do that, but we do not want to get stuck in a situation where it ends up going to 24. But we'll have plenty of other things for you guys to donate to. So, be on the lookout for that. Twitter will have some updates this week. I'll have Jen put it in her Discord and stuff like that. The announcements. Her Roxy Foxy Discord, we'll put it in ours. If you're there, check it out. And then the next Saturday is 9 to, we'll say 9 definite for the, GVP, at a universe of people, 9 to 9 virtual, but I may go until, I'm done, which may be 15 hours. But that's about it on that.
And this is my favorite time of year. It's kind of stressful building up to it, trying to get my house in order, but it does two good things. It brings extra life and it makes me clean my house.
So as usual, we're raising money for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Where you can we have a team, a Game Vault Pod team. So if you're doing your own extra life and you want to be part of our team, feel free to sign up for it. We would love to have you. If you're going to be doing your own streams and stuff like that and you're a fan of the podcast, tag on along. We have a current, our podcast goal is 750. I went a little below the 1,000 that we've done in years past just because with the oddness of breaking it up, I don't want to put too much pressure on people to try and hit the 1,000 goal, but we'll probably surpass it. But like I said, we're already at 200 roughly. So we're pretty close there. So if you have any suggestions on things, wheel or game based, just as of right now, you can put it in the Discords. If you're in the Discords, that's fine. But you can also hit us up on Twitter. at Game Vault Pod for anything like that.
Yep, we always enjoy getting suggestions on games to play for this because it's hard to come up with 1,000 party games and things that we can do different each year.
Yeah, and I'll make the announcement here. We probably won't have a podcast until after Thanksgiving at this point.
Yeah, probably unless we do a live one.
Yeah, the next recording would be before the second Extra Life. So maybe while we're playing a game, me and Tom give our opinions on things and read the news. Maybe that'll be a part of, check out news stories and stuff during the virtual. And maybe we'll play the Retro Roulette game on that stream. But the next time we would, be available would be, we wouldn't want to do it Black Friday, which would be the next scheduled day. So it would be the next week after that. So, but you'll get to hear plenty of us and see plenty of us, interact between this podcast airing and the next one. Mm-hmm. So you won't miss out on it. So without further ado, Tom, let's talk about a game that will not show up at Extra Life. While not a terrible game, our Retro Roulette game this week was Yoshi Story for the Nintendo 64. I will give my brief thoughts first since you streamed it and you want to add anything that you've, figured out later playing or as you've had time to marinate on it since the stream, you can. Mm-hmm. But I just finished my, couple hour playthrough of it. I didn't complete it, but did play enough. The number one thing was without a manual. There are some things where it took me 2 minutes, roughly, of just jumping in place to figure out how to butt stomp. I thought it would be like button then button, but it's just button and down. And I was like, oh, okay, that's right. It's a baby game for babies. Of course, it's not going to be. It's an easy 2-button press. Yeah.
It's definitely a game you needed the manual for if you were just trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, then I figured out, how the C buttons helped with the because we're doing two. I played on a perfectly legal Nintendo 64 that just happened to be compatible with an Xbox 360 controller.
They make Bluetooth receivers and stuff. Yeah, sure.
So I was doing the I was playing with my Wavebird. So doing the 2-stick, you can use the C buttons to bring up the reticle for the egg. So once I figured that out, it became a lot easier to shoot the eggs than having to push a button to bring up the reticle. Mm. So once I learned that, I got pretty much through most of the levels pretty quickly with just collecting fruit. I noticed something, I don't know if you noticed on stream, and I have to go back and watch it. You get a lot more points and stuff if you collect your lucky fruits and your favorite fruits.
Yes. It definitely helps if you're getting the fruits that your Yoshi, the specific Yoshi you're using, likes.
Yeah. So, excuse me, sorry. So the only thing that was fucking up for me, and maybe it was because I was not playing with an N64 controller, was sometimes trying to line up the jumps to do the double Yoshi jump. For some reason, like when you have to jump over the guy that you butt stomp that holds up the stop sign. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it wouldn't let me jump. It would start to jump and then stop. I don't know if I was like too close to the stop sign or whatever. It was getting a little annoying. Because maybe the 360 controller, the 8-bit one that I have, maybe it was a little more sensitive than the stick is on the N64. So that could have been an issue. But outside of that, it's a perfectly good game. Not anything spectacular with it. The boss fights are cute. The one fun thing I saw looking around and reading some things on it as well is that apparently the replayability is pretty high on it.
Well, yeah. So the reason it is that there's no real end to a level. So you can kind of just explore wherever you want. And the only way you progress is if you get all of the fruit. If you fill up your fruit quota.
Quota. That's the right word for it. I was trying to think of the same thing. Some people compared it to Star Fox 64 too, where you can choose different maps within a
Right.
chapter.
Right. There's branching paths, so you can go different directions depending on
Yeah.
how quickly you get through and
Yeah.
which you can always pick left, you can always pick right. Some have three, some have more than two maps. So
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting that you have so much replayability in this seemingly kids game.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did some I was going to say nods, but this would have come out first. But there are some hints to future Yoshi games throughout the levels here.
Oh yes, for sure. With the different stages you're in, with the
Yeah.
yarn and the woolly animals. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I had fun with it. But then again, it's nothing spectacular. But have you formulated any new opinions, or what is your thoughts been since stream?
So overall, I had a good time with it. It's definitely not a must. I mean, yeah, it's not a must play. It's very good, but there's definitely better games for the N64, and there's also better Yoshi games. I feel like Yoshi's Crafted World and Woolly World were better versions of this. But it is I mean, if you have an N64 and you are looking for a game to play, you need to find a game. Yoshi Story is pretty cheap and it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
But it's very cute. I will say that it's very cute.
Yeah,
it's my wife's favorite video game.
Yeah, I mean,
she doesn't like video games, and it's her favorite video game.
Yeah, it's very much, I can see how that could be. But for the way it plays, the way it looks, the art's great. Especially for the age range and time period it would have came out for us.
Yep.
Very easily see how this could fall into being someone's favorite game. People that don't play games as insane as us three do, always have like a weird game that they just fell in love with. This seems to be your wife's, and how Sonic the Hedgehog is my sister's. And Mario 3. I still love, every once in a while I still love that, to show my one kid that she can actually play those games really well. It's like some kind of savant. I was going to say idiot savant, but it's not. She's not really dumb, so that doesn't work. But it's like just those two games. She's some kind of savant. Hasn't picked up a paddle in 10 years. You put it through there, she clears the first world of Mario without losing a life. And it's just like, how?
Yep.
But I guess it's like riding a bike in some cases, like remembering levels. Like she remembered where the warps for the whistles were.
Sure.
But it's just funny. And it still freaks Kitty Cat out. With that, it's like when you find things out about your parents, what they were like as kids. It's just funny. But yeah. Just final thought: if you're looking for a game to play with a kid, like we always joke about trying to get them into the classics, like that we learned from. The colors and brightness of this will definitely attract to a younger child than any of the other older games
sure.
that you would pull out. So this would be great to just get your kid into wanting to feel a sense of accomplishment, because once they learn what the buttons are, there's not much strategy to this game. I think there's only really one that I saw. Maybe later levels are different, of one like strict fail scenario. Like if you miss that giant dragon in that one level, you can fall to your death. But outside of that, there's not much like really precise things like that. There are holes to fall into that you will die, obviously, but that's the only one that's like, holy shit, like there's no way to recover from this.
Yep.
If you miss. And the bosses don't seem overly complicated. The cotton candy guy, you just lick him to death. And the other bosses are probably like the bone dragon spitting fire. You just throw eggs at them from a safe distance, and they go down. But yeah, I overall like the game. All right. So Tom, what is your score for Yoshi Story?
I'm going to give Yoshi Story. Oh, this is tough. because I got to give it a 4. I was going to give it a 3, but rethinking it, I have to give it a 4.
Yeah.
Because it plays well, it looks great, it does everything it sets out to do, and it's got the replayability factor alone gives it an edge. It gives it that extra edge. So yeah, like if you like cute games with Nintendo characters, specifically Yoshi, if you're a Yoshi fan, it'll be for you. And I think, like I said, I think the newer games are better, but it's still a good game that if you want to throw on an N64 game for your child, this would work pretty well for that.
Yeah, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 as well. The main reasons is the replayability, because what this game does in terms of what's it called? I just want to keep saying playability in my head, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. The mechanics of this game.
There you go.
Once you learn them, are really good and perfectly fine. And are simple to learn, simple to enjoy. You can learn some more advanced stuff. By following the dog and butt stomping and stuff like that. But if you just want to go through the level and collect fruits, that's very easy to learn. Music's great, visuals are great, especially for the time period. Can't say that about some N64 games. It's just sometimes there's just something good about a game being simple.
I agree.
Not overly complicated. And it makes you smile while you play it. I think it was a great thing playing this game for these 2 weeks. After I saw some videos about, people complaining about, difficulty and video games, and that's why they don't play, Sony first parties, because they're just interactive movies. They don't challenge me, so that doesn't make them good video games. And it just playing this game, I'm like, no, a game like Yoshi Story is like what video games are about. You should be having fun with them. Now, can they have emotional storylines like a lot of the Sony first party things? Sure. That's a different kind of fun. But as long as it's not torturing you or, making you like so scared you can't sleep or things like that, in a bad way. Like, there are some games you should know up front will do that and not play those games, as Tom knows to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just never got difficulty being a factor in what's a real game or anything like that. And I think it was a perfect, nice contrast for me to be playing this while that discussion was going on. I think it mostly surrounded Spider-Man 2 out on the internet. And I think it started by a guy that just basically only plays From Software games.
Of course.
So, the one series that doesn't have a difficulty slider is complaining about that. But yeah, I think I love all those games, and I love games like Yoshi Story as well. Where I've said on this podcast, one of my top 10 games of all time still is Capsule of Illusion. I love that game.
Excellent game.
And I'm not putting it as a great accomplishment in gaming or anything. It's just a pleasant game to play and fun and not complicated. So 4 out of 5 here for me for Yoshi Story. It was fun. Yep. So Tom, let's see if we can. I know you added a whole bunch of games, so we won't be pulling from like the same generation of video games anymore. So my fingers crossed for something new and something exciting for this week. So why don't you go ahead and spin that wheel? And Tom, I think what this wheel always does is tend to pull something that has some connection to what's going on in games. And with, Wonder exploding, on the scene and everybody liking probably one of the best 2D Mario games of all time, we get a Mario game. And which one did we get, Tom?
We got Dr. Mario for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Hell yeah. I I don't think I figured out how to play this game until I was in my 30s because I didn't at first understand. Like, for some reason, it might just be that I didn't take time to learn it, but just the objective of the game. Like, I thought all puzzle games like this need to be like Tetris. So what are they like? They're called 3-something. The match 3 games and stuff like that.
Yeah, Puyo games.
Yeah, until I figured it out with, I forget what game, maybe it might have even been Candy Crush that we talked about earlier. It finally clicked, and I have really enjoyed this game since then. Dr. Mario, very much, it's just a ripoff of Puyo Puyo, essentially.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Or at least the first in that type of series. But yeah, it's not better than the obvious knockoff, which is number one, much better, is Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. But that's an old tribal Sega versus Nintendo thing coming out in me. But yeah, so got an NES game, which I've been hoping for a while. Got a Dr. Mario game, which should be fun on stream for tonight. Yeah, I am excited. I'm also excited about this weekend. Once again, Extra Life starts November 11th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be going for about 12 hours, playing a bunch of multiplayer games all together in the same room. So be sure to come check us out. We're over on Twitch at Game Vault Pod, so twitch.tv/GameVaultPod, and you can donate anytime between now and the end of the year. So if you're listening to this before December 31st, 2023, you can still donate by going to tinyurl.com/GVP, as in Game Vault Pod, Extra Life. Yeah, and like I said, we're going to have the 2 main streams, one this Saturday, one next Saturday, going for about 12 hours on each. And then, the donation window will stay up there. I might do some mini things in December, to push a little bit more. And then depending on how things go, maybe we'll do a fun thing on New Year's Eve. But yeah, so look out for that. I am really excited for WarioWare Move It. I can't wait for that game. But yeah, any final thoughts, Tom, as we roll into Extra Life here?
I'm excited. Like I said, this is my favorite time of year. We get everybody together, and we all get to have fun playing games and raising money for the kids. So looking forward to it, as usual.
Yep. So once again, all donations go to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. If you, I would recommend, if you have any intention of have a streaming thing or have a Twitch, or you can go join our team and you can pick your own children's hospital or just donate to the Children's Miracle Network in general. It's a fun activity. Get a bunch of your buddies together and do it. Even if you don't join our team, I think Extra Life is a really good event. So looking forward to be a part of it for the 8th year in a row. So yeah, thank you all for joining me. Thank you for listening. We will be live tonight with Dr. Mario. And yeah, hopefully we'll get a Final Fantasy X stream in beforehand. Yeah, I apologize for last weekend. Was kind of a busy softball weekend. So I was not able to get in a stream. So softball is done now, so I have no excuse. So for Tom and Jen, hopefully you are enjoying your dinner this evening. I'll see you next time. Bye.